Hello and welcome to another video tutorial here on understanding body language, liars, cheats and happy feet. It's Thursday afternoon and I hope you've all had a wonderful week. Now as normal I've got to get this body language tutorial completed in under 15 minutes because I've had a few copyright problems with YouTube, so I shall start immediately. So the video I've got for you today is journalist Samantha Brick has caused a big debate worldwide, saying that she's being hated for being beautiful, and it's angered a lot of people. So she's gone on this morning on ITV here in Great Britain and done a little bit of an interview to talk about that. So what we're going to have a look at today is some of the silent behaviour that we see coming through from Samantha, and we can also see how when we're flustered and when we're angry, our behaviour will adapt to these kind of behaviours and posture changes that we're going to see throughout this video. So let's just make the screen look bigger. Here is the interview panel. Obviously, I don't own this video, so all props go to this morning on ITV. So let's have a look.
In the backlash, she's had over 5,000 comments. Most of them, it has to be said, negative from mostly women.
Okay, so yeah, so the background to the story, it's I'm So Beautiful. Basically, you'll pick up the story as you go along. She's wrote an article for the Daily Mail here in Great Britain saying that she's ridiculed and she's lost quite a few friends because she's very pretty, and you'll get the gist of it. So let's just continue watching.
Got involved. Everybody's had an opinion, and some of them are really very nasty. I don't know if you had prepared yourself for that, but she's here this morning along with the psychologist Emma Kenny. Samantha, first of all, is this all?
Okay, so the first little bit of behaviour I see here, which I watched this interview before, was the little gestures they both give each other and the facial expressions. And obviously that lady there on the left is the psychologist called Emma, and obviously the lady on the right is Samantha, who wrote the article. Now note the facial expression greeting they gave each other. Let's watch it back in real time, and then I'll pause it.
She's here
so watch it back in real time
along with the psychologist Emma Kenny. Samantha, first of all, is this
okay? Now, did you spot anything there? Let's just freeze it.
Psychologist Emma.
Let's see if we can catch it. Ah, there we go. So I initially watched this, and when I saw that particular facial expression she gave Emma, who mirrored it back with that expression, I knew things weren't going to be rosy red between these two. Obviously we can see a concealed smile here by pressing the lips down hard and together, and also we can see how the chin thrust forward here from Samantha. So I think these two silently already are revealing that they're not going to get along throughout this interview, and the rest of my body language tutorial we'll see here will show that these two have got quite a lot of anger directed to each other. So immediately this kind of expression here sets the tone for the rest of the interview. So what we're going to look at now, we're going to fast forward this video because obviously I don't want to spend too long dissecting it, so we'll just get to some of the juicy bits. I'll start it from around about here, and then we can have a look at how these two interact, and we can spot some behaviour.
I have to, in the end, embrace the fact that actually it might be me that needs to change and not the society around me. The very fact that you are entertaining these relationships with people,
well, that's the point I want to make. I don't have those experiences every day of my life. I'm 41.
Okay, you can clearly see these two are not getting on very well. If you watch the whole video back, you'll be able to get a lot more detail than I'm giving you here. However, what we can see here is a classic indicator of when we're stressed and worried.
So what you're actually saying then is that this is a very minority of experiences, and actually this doesn't apply to the generic public, which is what you stated.
And there we go. So that little bit of leg behaviour there is indicative of feeling under stress and pressured, and it's a classic indicator of discomfort. Okay, so we can clearly see here, okay, how she angles her leg away from Emma. Now this is a classic barrier gesture. We can also see the pacifying gesture she makes now as well by interlocking her hands around her knee and bringing it in close to her. So again, we're seeing a comfort display here, and that comes in when we feel a strong discomfort around any kind of scenario where we feel anxious or nervous. And in this particular scenario here, she's getting bombarded with questions from the psychologist, and that's why we see that kind of posture change there. If you watch the interview back, you'll see how quite intimidating the psychologist is towards Samantha, and we can see that her limbic response to this stress is to try and make herself as small as possible to avoid detection. It's a classic limbic response to whenever we feel anxiety or stress. We will adopt this kind of pose. Okay, so these kind of subtle posture changes, which you'll be able to spot throughout your daily life, reveal the thoughts and the intentions and the emotions of that person once they felt an extreme anxiety, just like Samantha has here. You see, obviously we can see she's bombarded with questions left, right, and centre.
That have happened to me without question.
But on a minor level?
Well, no.
So on a major level, you are saying that when you entertain these
shades of grey. There are shades of grey.
Yes.
Okay, so we can see the problems here between these two here. We can see that little facial expression here. Okay, we can see.
Let's just have a look. There are shades of grey.
Yes, but what they're not.
Okay, there we go. So we can see this expression here. We can see the eyebrows coming down, slightly pulled down and together, so we can see trace elements of anger. She's getting frustrated. She's extremely uncomfortable. Okay, and that anger then manifests itself later on. So we'll just fast forward this slightly to around about the 8-minute marker here. Obviously, she's still getting grilled.
They don't like being told by you that you think you're attractive because they like to discover you're attractive. So I think
no, I don't even think that's right. I have no problem with Samantha. I have no problem with you thinking.
Okay, obviously, so the pressure continues.
With you saying to me as a woman, you won't like me. If you've even opened your mouth, you say I probably won't like you when you walk into a room because you're attractive, and I do take offence to that. I think that's totally wrong.
Part of being a great journalist is listening to what the public think, and what I'm saying is you were.
Okay, now do you spot that little bit of behaviour then we saw from Samantha? Obviously, she is wants to get away from the confrontation. What we'll often find is that we'll often angle our body away from the source of the stress and the anxiety, and we do this with what's called a gestural retreat. Sometimes we can't make a barrier in the position we're in. So in that instant there, it would have looked awkward. Plus, she's already used the barrier gesture. So another little classic indicator is the way we lean away.
Part of being a great journalist is
and we can see the lean in. There we go. That little expression there. We lean away from the anxiety and the stress. So in that little expression there, we can see classic behaviour coming through when we are trying to deflect away from things that cause us stress. And we can see this by the clusters of behaviour we've seen throughout this interview directed towards the psychologist. I mean, at the start we saw that expression where she tried to fake the smile, but she engaged the chin. And we also saw the pressing of the lips quite hard from the psychologist. So we already knew before these two have actually started talking that there's going to be problems. So don't forget about physiognomy, which is the interpretation of character and temperament based on facial expression. We could see in the short term there was going to be problems. We saw the self-hug, the pacifying gesture, and the leg barrier. We saw that coming around about the 5-minute marker as well. And also what I've neglected to mention here, which happens very briefly, is a classic pacifying gesture we see from a lot of women who feel stress and anxiety, and they'll often start playing with the wedding ring or the wedding band. It's a favourite area of women who like using the suprasternal notch as well, which is known as a neck dimple when we feel stress or anxiety. Or we'll start twiddling around with our wedding rings or our watches. And Prince Charles's favourite is the cufflinks. He'll often try and just manoeuvre those into position or just fiddle with them to relieve stress. And we can see that here again. Watch how she makes that retreat, and watch how she goes instinctively to relieve the stress, to pacify it by just rotating with the wedding band. Watch, it's very quick.
I do take offence to that. I think that's totally wrong.
Part of being a great
watch it again, we can see the retreat, we can go watch the hand, straight to the ring, to fiddle, okay. People often miss these kind of gestures, so if we didn't understand about what a gestural retreat was, we could then rely on the pacifying gesture to show that Samantha is still experiencing stress at this stage.
Let's have the last word now to Samantha herself about the whole experience and the reactions.
Okay, so the reactions here at the end.
Proving your thesis then, you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Women do not like attractive women, and that has been proved to me by the thousands of vile messages I've had on Twitter, the thousands of vile emails I've had to my personal account, the messages I've had on my own answer phones. Yeah.
Samantha is staying with us to take your calls.
So there we go. So that's the.
Thank you very much indeed.
There we go, and we can see at the end there that she was pretty much fed to the lions on this interview. I don't think it was very fair for her. Obviously, there's been a huge backlash with what she's written, but the way she was pretty much fed to the lions in this interview, I don't necessarily agree with the techniques or the interview techniques that were done here. But hey ho, that's journalism for you. So there you go. So these kind of behaviours that we've seen that Samantha has displayed can be observed in your daily life. I mean, you'll see the gestural retreat quite often when you're sat with someone who you don't like. It's a classic limbic response. If you like someone, you'll often lean towards them or engage in their conversation. If you're not so keen on them for one reason or another, you'll try and position yourself away from them or make a leg barrier and bring in the pacifier and the self-hug. So you'll try and wrap your fingers, intertwine them, and make yourself a little bit smaller. It's a classic limbic response to any kind of stress or anxiety. And we can see the anger at the start as well, with those lips pressed down and together. We didn't see a true smile. We saw that a lot of action in the chin. Just try and smile as you do normally, but try and engage the chin, and it will feel very, very strange. So there you go. So if you'd like to learn more about body language, then please check out my Understanding Body Language Liars, Cheats and Happy Feet. Talking about a beautiful woman. There's one. That's my good lady. So I'll make sure she watches this later on for the brownie points. And if also follow me on Twitter as well. I'm at Body Language UK as well. I've got around about 99 other video tutorials on my YouTube page, ranging from criminology to flirting and dating, deception, quite a few celebrities, politicians, musicians, you name it. I've got plenty on there. So my quest is to get 1 million hits, ideally before the end of the year. So if you can help share my videos on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter, that would be wonderful. So there we go. So I'm ashamed I can't do a longer video tutorial, but I've been restricted to 15 minutes due to a few copyright issues I've had. Again, I don't own the video. The video belongs to ITV and This Morning, so all props go to them. So there you go. So if any questions, comments or feedback, please let me know, and please try and circulate this video as much as you can. So from everyone here, Understanding Body Language, Liars, Cheats and Happy Feet, take care and bye-bye for now.